Nice. All right, there we go. How's the audio now, Victoria?
It's good.
Oh, great, great. Okay, cool. Oh, so just I'm confused between the. I understand how you were saying like the 500,000, and then you could make more, like that's guaranteed, and then others, and then you said there was one with bonus at the end of the year, and then one where it's like you keep what you make. Is that right? The three different.
So there are two, the ones that I talked about, right? There were two of the same compensation plans, just one had a different guarantee.
Okay.
And that was based on location.
Yeah. And demand, right? Like how, I mean, the patient backlog, what does that look like? I mean, how many empty like chair days are we missing because we don't have a provider there? Is it a dark office? Meaning, did somebody quit and we're closed, right, the entire time? So you got to think about that. We're not, but that's something that I had to think about at a previous place that I used to work at. So yes, I mean, all of these things take into consideration how valuable you are, right, and then how much we need you. So those are questions, you know, to ask too. Is, I mean, like I said, what does the patient backlog look like? What, and so if I'm paying you off of your percent of collections, right? So the other caveat to that was some people want to get paid based solely off of the collections or production. And you have to be careful with that, because sometimes people will say, okay, you will get paid 40% of your collections. Though you may think that that means, okay, I have on my schedule today $50,000 and that's what I produce. That doesn't mean that's what you're going to collect. No. Right. So people do have that in their head that, okay, but I produced 50,000, I should take 40% of that. It's what you collect. Right. And so you have to feel very confident in this team to know that, okay, I'm not going to get a guarantee. I'm only going to be compensated off of collections. So everybody better be in line. The insurance coordinator, the treatment plan coordinator, everybody better be making sure that things are getting done correctly so that you can get reimbursed for what you're doing.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. Now, but Victoria, you must have had some interviews with oral surgeons and other dentists perhaps where they're like Sean and I, where it's like, okay, so we understand that we're signing into a contract here and developing, but this isn't hitting the pinnacle. This isn't finally hitting the finish line. This is a new chapter. So are there any opportunities for moving up further in the company or increasing the percentage or increasing compensation? I mean, and then another side note, how often do oral surgeons ask you things along these sorts?
I'm sorry, repeat the second part of the question. How often do oral surgeons
ask you about this sort of thing?
Okay, so that not often at all. Because I don't, again, I think that they're so busy, right, with the day-to-day of, I mean, residency and then coming out. Thinking long-term is something that I've had to really try to get them to see. And I feel like I'm almost advocating really hard for them. It's like, hey, this may not be the right decision for you. Like, can we talk about this a little bit? Like, are you sure you want to do this? Like, let's think about it longer. You know, I don't know if we're going to be happy there, right? And so I see a lot of immediate reactions, and I try to get them to sit down and think, okay, yes, you have finished school, right? But this isn't the end, right? Like you said, this isn't the pinnacle. This is the beginning. It's a new chapter again. And so think of it as long-term. Think of what you want long-term, right? And I always try to tell them, like, long-term wealth is what I'm shooting for. Long-term success, wealth generation for my family, for my family's family. And sometimes, like you said, I think you had mentioned earlier that, you know, people that have taken a pay cut, right, to be able to have that mentorship. And that's what we offer is, you know, we actually do have very competitive compensation plans, but we're not gonna say, okay, you know, we're not the highest paying DSO right off the bat, because what's going to happen is we actually give you a chance to be mentored and have a clear path to partnership within 18 to 24 months. And that includes equity, right? So you actually get to have equity in the business versus somewhere else that's going to offer you, 50% of collections off the bat, but you have no ownership. You know for sure, definitely, that you're never going to be able to have ownership in that. So is that something that is sustainable long term, right? So you got to kind of weigh those options and think about that. And I think that that's what I know that that's what most of my residents aren't thinking about long term. And so I really am trying to, but it looks kind of hard. It looks bad because it's like, oh, you're just trying to sell me this thing. It's like, no, like even if I didn't work for them, I'd still try to get you to see, what it looks like. And I wish I could tell you that, I wish I could, fast forward, 20 years from now, and you can see yourself where you are now, what your decisions would be like, but I can't. But all I can do is educate you and tell you what the options are and let you make the best decision.
Of course, of course. And what is this equity in OMS360 looking like? Are we talking stock options? Are we talking actual equity within? So you said you could become a partner at one point. Is that a partner of one practice within the multi-practice model?
So a partner doctor within OMS360. So you would be able to have shares, so equity within all of OMS360, right? So we see it as a partnership. And so you're not just, one entity in one practice, it's all of our successes, and you get to reap the rewards from that. And we're backed by a private equity firm that has a record of being successful in MSOs, so medical service organizations.
Yes.
It's called Shore Capital. So I don't know if you've done any research on it, but please do. And then if not, and you have more questions, more than happy to talk to you about Shore Capital. And that is the reason why I joined OMS360, because I was impressed with Shore Capital's portfolio.
All right. How many partners are there in Shore Capital's portfolio within OMS360?
So right now we have 5 partner doctors.
Okay. And there's like a guarantee within 5 or 10 years or whatever it may be, how many years that you become a partner doctor. So then there's 6 and then 7. And then by the time Dr. Gallagher's applying, there's 52.
So I need to take that back. Okay, so we have 5 partnered locations, but I believe we have about 8 or 9 partner doctors.
Okay.
Yes. So what that looks like would be 18 to 24 months, right? Pathway to partnership. And then, yes, whenever you come on board, or whenever Dr. Gallagher comes on board, and however many years that looks like, right? What you have to understand is, like, the sooner you get in on it, then the better. Because right now we're at shareholder value. So we're only a year old right now. And so if you, Dr. Gallagher, came in right now at this minute, you would actually be paying the same price, and your shares would be worth the same as our founding board doctor.
That's interesting. That's enticing. But here's my question for you then. Interviewing the interviewer, what's the future of OMS360 looking like? And where's it going to be 5 years from now? And how is that going to benefit those partners, whether it's 8 partners, 16, or say 52?
So not sure, how much you know about private equity firms, right? But what they do, right? Their goal is to sell, right? And that's how you make money. That's how our partners make money. It's how our shareholders make money, right? But I know there's such a fear of people saying, well, what if I join OMS360 and then you guys sell in 2 years, right? Because our average is 5, right? And our target is 4. So years, right? So then they're like, well, I'm not joining, then who am I going to get sold to? And then it's not going to be as great as, you guys. And then what happens to me, right? And so this is what we know for sure, is that Shore Capital does not invest in companies that fail. No matter what, we always find the right people. We put people in the right roles. We have people on our advisory board up at Shore Capital that have done this a million times. We have repeated processes that we don't have to come up with ourselves, right? And so we always have these advisors that are telling us, hey, look, you can do it this way, right? And you won't have to reinvent the wheel. And so whenever we are bought out, it will be by somebody that values what we have done. And it basically, they'll take a look at our portfolio, same thing that we do with our practices that we acquire. They'll look at everything that we've done, look at our numbers and do this whole analysis and see what we have to offer them. And then they'll give us a number, right? And then if it fits us and our partners, then we'll sell to them. But if you can imagine, if these people have the capacity to be able to buy us, they are not going to invest in something that's a losing deal. Does that make sense? So they're not going to invest in all this money to buy something just to change the ways of what they've been doing that they've seen work so well, right?
I see.
As a matter of fact, one of our portfolio companies, iSouth, they just exited, massive exit. They exited there was a 720% return. So if you had invested every $1,000 that you invested, you got $7,200 back for that, right? And whenever they were bought out by this other company, everybody was like waiting for a change and waiting to see like what was going to happen. And then like a week later, they're like, nah, nothing's changing. It's kind of weird. So if that just kind of shows you, like we don't want it to change, right? And so in that, so as somebody like me that I have, shares and equity in OMS360, at that initial recap, what's going to happen is I'll probably, cash out, 60% and roll over 40% of that. So I'll still have equity in OMS360. It'll be with the different company, right? So for the most part, anybody that has equity, especially at that first initial recap, we're going to roll over. And so we would not roll over with somebody that we didn't feel like would take care of it like we did, because we still have skin in the game.
Yes. But so I'm confused. So you owned, say, that practice, right, that turned over for a 720% return. You own that first, and then it was sold, or it was bought, and then who did it go to? Did the doctors stay the same in the office? Did you own the real estate underneath, or was it just the practice itself? I know I'm hitting you with a lot of questions, but.
So basically, iSouth was a sister company of Shore Capital. And what they did were ophthalmology, right? So what they did was they went and acquired a bunch of ophthalmology practices and then turned around and sold it to another private equity firm. Kept the same doctors there, kept the same leadership team, CEO, they're still the same. They're still there. They kept them. And then your other question was?
So that was under what was it?
iSouth.
iSouth. So iSouth was ophthalmology that was owned by. Okay, so how did you get shares in ophthalmology?
I did not have shares in it.
Okay.
So I'm saying that anybody that was a part of that was able to. That's what their return on investment was.
Okay, and then who bought them?
Honestly, I can't think of the name right off the top of my head. I can get that information to you.
And then is OMS360 one underneath under the venture capital, underneath the it was a long day.
We're one of the umbrellas underneath Shore Capital.
Yes. So underneath Shore Capital, not above it, right?
Correct.
So is there potential for OMS360 to be bought out by another bigger private equity firm?
Yes, and that's our goal.
That's the goal. Okay. It'll stay OMS360, but it'll be bought by a bigger. Okay, I see. How is that? Okay, and then it rolls over. I see. So that's profitable by the buyout of a bigger entity. I see it now. Okay.
Yeah. I know it's so hard, right, to kind of visualize these things and think about what does that look like and how do I play a part in that? But we have slide decks and we actually have an Excel spreadsheet to where, okay, if you put this amount of money in, right, you became a partner today and you put this amount of money in, or you became an associate today, and then at 18 to 24 months, you put equity in, and then at the exit, this is what it would look like. And then at the next 5 years, this is what that equity that you rolled over would look like. And then at the next 5 years, this is what that would look like. And so when you look at it, right, when you look, okay, so my salary for the first year is going to be XYZ, maybe, I don't know, 500,000, just putting numbers out there, right? But at the end of those equity rollovers and those cash outs, what it's really going to look like is what we break it down to. It could look like, oh, really, at the end of it, I was actually doing 1.5 in my pocket, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
So you have to think of it as a long-term investment, right? Because I mean, you can go to the stock market and put XYZ dollars here and there, and it's a chance that you're taking as well, right? And so I think you have to, if you would like to go that route, do your research on the private equity firm, right? And know the people that you're going to get involved with. And you got to have faith in those people.
Right. This is a big learning opportunity tonight. I'm just trying to take it all in. No, this is good. This is a lot. Sean, was there anything that we kind of?
No, that's a lot of information that, again, we don't hear about, and this private equity, we hear a lot about DSOs, and, the general thoughts on DSOs as of now still aren't really great. But there's still so many components, there's so many layers to this that, we have to learn to peel back before we can really make an educated decision for ourselves, and how that plays into, everybody individually. So no, I think we're good, Brendo.
So I'll ask you guys a couple of questions then.
Please.
All right. So as a resident that's going to be looking for a job and however long that is, what are you looking for, Sean, whenever you are going to find your dream job, right? So what matters to you?
It sounds cliche to say the obvious, but you mentioned you want that work environment to be a positive environment, right? You want to walk into a team where you feel like you're part of the team and a valued member of that team, right? So whether you're working as an associate under another doctor or under a larger DSO, you want to feel like you're a valued member of that team and that your opinion matters, right? You want to walk in and talk to your front desk, have a good relationship with your staff, have a good relationship with your with your colleagues, and then of course you want to have the what's a good term for this? The ability to really, dictate the treatment that you want with your patients. So when you meet Mrs. Jones and you say, "Oh, Mrs. Jones, your son or your daughter needs this," you want to feel, because you feel that's best for them. You want to be able to put your stamp on that. So I'd say culture and autonomy are some of the biggest things at first. But of course, where the practice is going in the future is important, because, like you said, in 2 years, the landscape changes. So how are we keeping up with it? How are we staying competitive in this environment? Some things that jump to mind, really quickly.
I like that. So I'm glad that you guys seem to be very forward thinking, growth minded. Those are things that are highly favorable to me. And I think that those are things too that you ask the interviewer too. Is your company growth minded? You say you are, right, on the website, and you don't have to say it like that, right? You say you're a growth minded website, but tell me how, right? But it's I noticed that one of your core values is growth minded, individual development or something like that, and say can you give me an example of a doctor that you're going through this with, or that exemplifies that for you? Can I speak with them? I mean, it's all about asking the questions, right? And make sure that they show you who they are on paper and in person.
Yeah. I love that you could actually speak with someone there too. That's so huge, because you got to, and maybe not just one, but you need to know from people that have been working there for a while and what they think and what it's like.
What like really was mind blowing. So we do mergers and acquisitions, so we acquire practices, right? And we were just in Chicago at the implant conference a couple weeks ago, and we had some potential partner doctors that own their own practice and were looking to come on board, or thinking about it, at least entertaining it. And so we brought them up to our headquarters, Shore Capital in Chicago, and our partner doctors came as well. And the potential partner doctors didn't know that those were these other doctors were our partner doctors already.
Really?
So we're sitting at a round table, and the potential doctors say, okay, I have a question. You say clinical autonomy, but like, what does that truly mean? Can you give us an example? And our CEO says, you know what? I would love to give you an example, but I think that it's going to resonate more if you hear it from these people themselves. And he just kind of like looked baffled, and he was like, these are our doctors. These are people that we have bought their practice. And I want you to ask them what we have changed about their practice. And we will leave the room. So the leadership team at OMS360 left the room and let the partner doctors and the potential partner doctors talk. And it was amazing because they were not expecting that, right? And we went in there like 10 minutes later, and we're like, hey, no rush. You guys need a couple more minutes, 2 or 10. And they were like, 10, please. And we're like, yes, great. So they just thought that it was so great that they could actually speak to people that were living this life. Right. And so it speaks volumes when you can say, hey, look, this is a person that, we didn't hire to talk to you. This is somebody that has been doing this and that is with us. And it was great because we had a younger doctor, one that was, about to retire, and then one that was kind of like in mid-career. So, and in different geographic locations too. So we kind of looked out there, but it's really important for you to get a feel of what it's going to look like for you. And as much as possible, get that exposure, ask the questions, meet with them. I always get my candidates, I fly them down to meet with my doctors.
Yeah, meeting with them is really important, and I couldn't agree more. I feel like that might be a little easier with something like OMS360, where there are multiple locations. Like you say, I'd love to speak with someone who's been in this mentorship program before. Whereas
Right.
let's say in a single private office, in a traditional private office, there might not be like that, that foundational setup just yet, where I guess that might be an advantage for something like OMS360. But I'm just trying to think of how you can ask that sort of a question to a smaller entity, just like a single office, right? Let's say it's one person and you want to know what their mentorship is like. You can't really ask anybody else, can you?
No, but you can ask them, right? Can you walk me through what that pathway looks like? What, month, 30 days in, 60 days in, 90 days in, what should I expect, to learn from you, or to the skills that you are expecting me? What are the expectations from you in the first 30, 60 to 90 days? That will give you kind of a picture of what that development plan looks like.
That's true.
And you
Yeah.
put it on yourself, right? What do you expect from me in the first 30, 60, or 90 days? Hopefully their answer is going to be something along the lines of coordinating with that development plan that they've got for you.
Yeah, it's true. If they can add themselves into that plan, then that means they actually have something, versus if
Yeah.
you get out there and you do it, then
Yeah, it's like, oh, there's not really a development plan. Then I
maybe not
guess the
so much.
development's happening while we're doing this, right? And that's okay, right? So I think that if they're open and honest with you, and they say, hey, look, I know mentorship means a lot to you, man. Like, this is a one doctor practice. I don't have anything concrete on paper, but I'm willing to work with this, with you. And I'm going to be learning along the way too. But if we understand that and we can work together and find out what that looks like and create it together, and you're open and I'm open, then this could work. So I think it's all about managing the expectations, because I would be really okay with that, versus if somebody said, no, we've got a clear pathway to partnership and it's, concrete and it's solid, we know it works. And then you get there and it's like, there's nothing. Right. So just another thing, just being open and honest with people. That's the best way.
Oh yeah, full transparency, of course, and expectations up front. I like that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question for you, Dr. Gallagher. What made you want to get into this the space that you're in, right? You're so busy with, I mean, residency, oral surgery is busy already. Why are you doing this? Like, what is your why?
Doing what specific? There's a lot of moving pieces here.
There's a
Can you
lot
please
of
call
things
me?
that you're doing. Maybe it's a, you know, what is your goal? Like, what are you trying to achieve with all of the things that you are doing? Right? Is there a different thing that you're trying to achieve with things, or everything is kind of it relates to all the things that you're trying to achieve, that one thing?
That's a great question. They're all related and they're all branches of the same tree. And please call me Brendan, really seriously, please. I would say that, I mean, there's a vision, right? There's a vision that's kind of there, like a brighter future, like quote unquote, but the vision also develops as you go. It's the same as running a practice, I would say. Now, I haven't been running a practice or anything, but Sean and I, we've done multiple developments within our own little company of our own little LLC of top professionals, but it's it's all a part of a growing process to make a better future. You know, like we started the pre-dent mentor map for one example, where we created a free outlet for pre-dental students to gain access with current dental students at every school in the United States to learn how to apply there. What's the average DAT score? What's the location? Does this interviewer or is he hard? I heard he makes sure that all the men in the interviews are wearing pants and not shorts because it's a Zoom call this year. Like all the little ins and outs, we have that. And we're trying to expand that. Now, that's one project of a much broader goal here of bringing another level of mentorship into dentistry, utilizing social media. I mean, that's what social media is. It's a way to connect with people, right? It's what you make of it and it's what you get from it. And then on a different level, Sean and I were big with vision. And now you could say growing for the future and whatnot, but I think it's more of like a day-to-day, a midterm, and a long-term. Long-term is to be fully transparent, like we said, expectations up front, but to develop the vision as a team, right? Because it's slow, it's constantly growing. And like you said, in private equity with the umbrella company and OMS360, there's constantly shifting pieces to gain the financial futures of the families, of the partners and everyone underneath it. We could go on for days, but in the day-to-day, in the midterm, there's also mentoring involved, where kind of like we said, you're buying into a future here. And I mean, the team relates to both of that, but I guess kind of what I'm saying, I want to build, Sean and I, we're both building a brand. I have multiple brands between myself as Dr. Gallagher, which combines like the dentistry side, the mentoring side, education. Really, it's the whole picture is to form a community to whatever the project is next. It's to kind of hit it full stride and not start with empty pieces, if that makes sense. Um, there's a lot of moving pieces, and it all will come together eventually.
I like that. So what I'm hearing basically is it sounds like you guys like to help people, right? Like you guys want to be able to give people the tools to succeed. And maybe it's some things that you wish you have had in the past, right? For me, a lot of the things that I do are things that I'm like, damn, I wish somebody would have told me, and so it's like, I don't want you to have to, die and then come back to life and then die again. I don't want you to have to go through that. So let me make those mistakes for you and just listen, right? Just let me tell you, these are the things that are probably going to happen, and learn from my mistakes, right? I don't want you to have to go through that. But at the same time, it seems like inevitably there's always one person that, makes the decision that you're like, don't really feel like, this is the right decision, but I'm not you. But I have had instances where people made a different decision and they came back to me and they're like, I'm so upset, a year and a half later, I wish I would have taken that opportunity. What you told me was going to happen definitely happened. And at that time, what you do as a person, you say, it's okay. I get it. I still have this opportunity for you. Or how can I help you right at that moment? Like, how can I support you and how can I get you to where you want to be now? Instead of being like, told you so, peace out. You got to deal with it. And so those are some things that really, that's my why. I love helping people. This is the reason why I do what I do. And it's not just about placing oral surgeons with OMS360, right? Because inevitably there's going to be someone that, wants to work in Hawaii and we don't have locations there, right? So it's instead of,
Not yet.
all right,
Not yet.
can't help you. Yeah, not yet, right? It's, you know what? I know these really great people that can get you in touch with some people there. Let me get you connected. Because it comes full circle, right? So, I mean, they'll say, look, Victoria, she didn't even have to help me, and she did. So in turn, I would like to tell her, to tell my friends about her. And then that's how this thing goes. And so, I mean, it comes back to you, I feel like.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
no, you're right, and we all love helping people. We can't make decisions for other people, but we'd like to provide them with all the resources that we wish we had when we were in their shoes, right? And then whatever decisions they make, as long as they're well informed about it and they're happy with their choices, that's all we can do. But there's a lot of instances where we don't have the resources, and looking back, we wish we did, and that's kind of what we're hoping to do, is put as many resources out there for everybody. And just like this, there's not enough people are getting this information that you've given us tonight, which is huge, huge information. So we'd like to share this to everybody so they can, hear and see what's really going on out there. So while you're focused, you're working really hard. Brendan, you're suturing a lip at 3 o'clock in the morning. You're also keeping this information in the back of your mind so that when the time comes, you're prepared and you can make a decision for yourself.
I agree. So, I mean, I think that we're all, for the most part, we can say, yes, like we're all here for the same reason, right? Just being able, I mean, knowledge is power. And if you don't know, you don't know, right? So all you can, I mean, that's what I tell people all the time. I'm just coming to tell you about, what we have to offer and your options. And I want you to ask me questions. Ask me questions about anything, and then how can I help support you? That is the number one question that I ask anybody. It's not, what can OMS360 do for you? It's how can I, Victoria Martinec, as a person, support you, Sean Czar, as a person, whatever that may be. And so like I said, I think that it all comes down to being human at the end of the day. And people can truly see that if you're playing this game of, selling something that's not there or being disingenuous, people can read it right away, or they'll find out. And then they'll tell everybody, and then you're screwed. So
what would OMS360 do without you, though? I mean, these are strong, you have a strong character. They must treat you well to keep you on board.
Look, my team is great. I mean, I've got some really supportive doctors. Like heck, my CEO, he's a CEO, but he's like me. He doesn't say, "Oh, I'm the CEO. Like you have to do this and you have to do that." It's, one time we were with a group of residents, and I was like, "Yeah, you'll have to meet our CEO," and they're like, "Okay." And so I bring them over, and they're like, "What? This is the CEO?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's him." They're like, "Oh, we talked to him already, like 5 minutes ago. He didn't seem like a CEO." I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Not bad, but it's like, so, I mean, treating people like you want to be treated, that's literally how we are." And I think that being able to say, okay, yes, I work with OMS360, I work for OMS360, and I am genuine, that also is showing that this is a part of the company and who we are as a brand, right? Because I couldn't work for people that weren't genuine and that couldn't handle me and my big personality, but it works.
It's gotta work. It's gotta work. It's always
it's really nice. It's nice. It is.
You gotta like what you do when you wake up in the morning. That's what I'm looking for. I'm waiting for a day when it's like exciting. I'm on medicine right now, so it's not what I'm going to be doing forever. I just have 3 more days of it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to a time when I'm excited to go into work again, like actually excited, where all the pieces finally come together again. So we'll get there.
It will, right? And I think that once you think that you're there and that's about to happen, then it's another thing, right, that happens, and you're like, oh gosh, like now I'm looking for something else that's the pieces are going to be there. So I think that we always have this picture in our head, right? And I always bring it back to Simon Sinek when he says, like, he talks about love, right? And it's not, okay, you find the person that you are going to spend the rest of your life with in 2 days. 2 days after your second date, you're like, I'm going to marry this person. I know I love this person, right? That's not what like marriage and love is. It's about working on something every single day. And so that is what your career is like, is it's a lot of people have this distorted view of, okay, you know, I hate this job, but what about it do you dislike? Is it something, is it like your mentality? Is it something that we can help with? Is it you? Because sometimes it's me. I'm like, you know what? I'm just feeling a certain way today. It's me, it's my personality. And so I think that we have to know that every day is not going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect all the time. But at the end of each day, we can fully sit there and say, you know what? Like what I have is good.
100%.
So that's my goal. I want to help people find that. I want to help people find a place where they can, I mean, go every day and not be like, oh, I have to go. You know, of course, some days we're like, I'm tired. I wish I could sleep in today. Or, you know, I wish I could have the day off or something like that. But really, truly, at the end of the day, I want them to say, I really do like where I work. I love where I work.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you guys taking the time to talk with me today and having me on your whole podcast.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on. Again, huge, invaluable information. Just, you know, a lot for us, hopefully a lot of others to learn from today, tonight. Thank you again, Victoria, for coming on and speaking with us.
Of course. So let me know if you guys ever need anything. Sean, I'm connected in the ortho community. Promise.
Your OMS360 is not for orthodontists?
No, we're not.
No, okay. Just,
not right now. Not right now.
If there's one thing we clarified. No, okay. Just double check.
No, but I mean, you know, depending on what you want to do, I mean, doesn't matter. I'd still help you, you know, wherever you would like to go, things like that. I mean, the world is yours, right? Ask the questions and I'd be glad to help you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Welcome. Do y'all need anything else from me?
Oh no!
You got any good content? Like, did I answer everything for you?
Yeah, it was
Everything
fantastic.
and more.
Okay.
I think we have a lot to get through tonight, Brenda.
Yes, we do. We do. No, I mean, we got a lot of content to go through. It's going to be great because what we do, Victoria, is we make post-production content where like we cut it up into different snips, and then we could post it over time on the different channels. Top Dental Practices, Sean and I, we started years ago. Students of Dentistry I mean, you saw the pages that we post on Elite Dentists. Dose of Dental is a very recent project that we're working with Siraj, who founded it in the beginning, and it's a platform to bring content and education and mentorship, just like you did with us today, into the space. But yeah, Victoria, we'll be in touch. I mean, you're going to be here every time you come to the city. We got to go to the golf. Oh, swingers! I'm so annoyed that I missed that night. You know, that's my fault.
It was pretty awesome. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. But yeah, no, I mean, you know, and I was like, yeah, come to Swingers. I was like, it's the golf place, you know. So yeah, I told my boss, I was like, I'm taking them to Swingers, and they were like, what? What? I was like, it's mini golf. Let me send you the link. Here it is. But yeah, no, it was an awesome place. If you hadn't been there yet, I mean, good atmosphere, good ambiance. So would recommend. But if you can get some people together, I'll make another trip out there. We can all go to Swingers. Or I don't know, Sean, where are you?
I'm also in New York. I'm in Long Island, so.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, why not? I'll go to Swingers.
Yeah, everybody. I was like, tell your spouses to come, whatever, you know, like the more the merrier. So if I can get to know them, I mean, you know, anybody that's connected with you, the more I get to know you as a person. So.
Amazing. Victoria, it's about to end. So I want to thank you once again.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye, you guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you again. We'll talk soon.